again, just you where you are at, your own personal development, and like you said, managing or setting the expectations, right, of them. And I think, one of my conversations this week with someone was like, the moment you set an expectation, right, is a recipe for disappointment. Because don't expect nothing. Don't expect nothing, and you're good, right? Because setting expectations just brings this. Again, this, like you said, there's supposed to be this and that, and then once they're not, then you're just disappointed. Because now looking back at my own personal life, it's like, wait a minute, a lot of the relationships that I've been in, big brother, big sister, whatever it is, right? However that relationship ended or where it led to, now looking back at it, is like it was because I had the expectations of them. Like, oh man, even the ones that, like, recently in our lives, where it's like, wait a minute, you should be like this, but you're like that, or you should act like this, or sometimes even setting that expectation from people based on the way I treat people. Because I'm like, I'm a man of peace, I show nothing but love to you. You can count on me any day, anytime, all the stuff, right? So it's like my interaction with you is kind of like, I expect the same thing from you too at the same time, right? And once you don't meet the expectation, then when you do something that is different from that, it kind of hurts me. And I love that we're talking about this right now, because in all honesty, a lot of the relationships in my life presently, right now, it has more to do with just this scenario I just talked about. It has more to do with it, where a lot of people, I place them not up, but like at the same level that I'm in at. Because for me to interact with you, I see something in you. Like, I don't just go, I mean, my character speaks for itself, right? So I'm not gonna like interact with people that are gonna, devalue my name or just bring any kind of negativity, right? So especially if we are close, or I call you like a family member, then that means no, like I vouch for it. Remember when I was even looking for a tenant, right? And you told me, this is your boy. I was supposed to do a credit check. I was like, guess what? The credit check I need is side check, because I'm like, if you say it's good, I trust you say it's good, right? So that level of, vulnerability, everything, saying, okay, the way you're going to treat me is the way I treat you. And the way I treat you, I expect you to treat me like that. That expectation, right? And then now when she start acting different, then I start to be like, yo, wow, you just wicked the whole time. You just this person, that person. But if I never set any expectation from the beginning, then it wouldn't lead to that.
This topic can go in two very distinct directions. And first direction is this, right? Within the home environment, looking at, I had an older brother, I have a father, I have a mother, right? And they interacted with me the best they knew how, right? So my father learned his fatherhood and father skills by observation of his father. Mother, same, right? You know, and said, okay, well, here's how we choose to parent our children. So as that impacts me, right, there may be things that that in my generation, receiving from both of them, I'm like, I don't like that, right? Like, we don't currently exist in the same time period that you grew up in. So applying certain disciplines to me, or certain, rules to me, I'm losing context in what you're trying to teach me, especially you're doing it with a lot of force and aggression, i.e. spankings, right? So I'm losing context in what you're trying to teach me. And then, maybe the conversation would shift to, well, when I was your age, I had to walk X amount of miles to get water. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with me? I have a pipe. I just go and turn, right? Like, so I'm losing context here. Well, you should be grateful. Okay, you're trying to teach me gratitude, but that's not a good context to use to teach me gratitude, because you had to walk, so therefore I got it easy. It's not my fault that your generation the intelligentsia that existed in your generation didn't develop pipes.
Yes.
Right? Because I'm sure if they did, you would be using pipes too.
Yes.
Right? So just like I can't get upset at my children's generation that they were born into internet and had access to information at their fingertips. They don't have to go to the library.
Yes.
Right? So I can't teach a lesson out of context and saying, well, when I was your age, I had to go to the library. Like they're not gonna contextualize that to understand the meaning. So right? So that's the foundation. So there were certain transfer of information and lessons that just didn't stick from that initial social programming in that environment. Right? So now as the child, right, you start looking, well, maybe uncle has something. Wow. Well, maybe big brother has something.
Yes.
Okay, it's not there. Maybe auntie has something. Okay, not there. Maybe, the spiritual arena, whatever you adhere to, has something. Okay, it's not there. So you start looking for things, right? To try to put this piece of the puzzle of together of life. So now, you grow, you're up and out, like, you're facing life now as an adult. There's still pieces that are missing in your development and your understanding from your development. Yes. So now you start socially interacting with other people in your environment. Maybe it's a female friend relationship, intimate male friend relationship, just bond, big brother, whatever, right? And you're like subconsciously choosing these people because there's things within them that you perceive within them that doesn't exist within you. So you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna form this bond because maybe, and in my opinion, and that's how the expectation gets placed. Because it's like, oh, I feel comfortable around this person. They represent big brother, like what I didn't learn and didn't have from my big brother. So now thing, and then it's just a automatic projection of this expectation of like, because there's a innate desire to receive something from them to complete yourself. And then same thing with the intimate relationship. So you want to receive something from them that that you didn't receive that made you incomplete, and then from the best friend. So to me, I think that's how the expectations kind of get formed and projected. And again, these are younger versions of ourselves, and each one of these individuals now, they behave in a manner that's incongruent with what we expect, right? But we're not experienced enough to realize that their behaviors aren't incongruent. Their behaviors are very much congruent with who they really are. Right? Like they are behaving in a manner in just like you back then behaved in a manner in who you were. Right? And but you're perceiving the world from outward, from inward out, right? Because personal development and self-cultivation, it doesn't really get taught in a lot of cultural environments early. So early enough, so your expressions of the world is just, or perceptions of the world is inward out. Right? So you're not even that's even when we look back at ourselves, we don't even look back at ourselves from a third person. We always look first person and see outward again. Right? We're not even looking at how we behaved and like, man, right? And say, whoa, right? Because it's an ugly truth. It's an ugly truth that of ourselves that we some of us don't want to face, and then maybe even consciously, subconsciously, we kind of black it out too. And we're very selective in our memory of what we want to recall, right? The good things, the fun times, and the good that we did, but we're not going to reflect on the bad or the negative that we did as well. So going back to the relationships, these people were acting in a manner that was congruent with exactly who they were. Just like you were behaving in a manner in exactly who you were. You were just finding out some truths at the time, but again, self-growth, self-development, intellectual honesty, personal maturity wasn't really taken into consideration as you were processing all these relationships. So, the only thing that you or we took it as, okay, this is trauma, right? we know trauma. We identified trauma before. So, okay, this is trauma. And this person, and who's the cause of this trauma? This person is.
Yes.
Right? You know, and that's why I said, man, like it's, you know, that's one direction where it's very, very important that from how we started this conversation, to take a deep dive look at yourself, at your life. And there's different levels to this thing.
Yes.
And you want to exercise the same, you know, practice and consistency and approach and go after each level.
Yes. You know, I mean, that is so beautiful. I'm here as well, just talking. It's like, you know, the light bulbs were just hitting, man. Like, wow. You know, I mean, to start with, you know, looking for something in people, right, that we're missing is like, man, so you know, that is the root of everything right there, right? Where, man, this is so beautiful, man. Like this artistry of life, working on yourself, you know, is so beautiful. Thank you very much for watching that video. In order for us to keep providing content like this, just go ahead and click on that subscribe button and you get notifications whenever we release new content. Thank you very much.